Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, a quick shout out to all of you who have supported my GoFundMe campaign. Massive appreciation to Alexander, who smashed the GoFundMe campaign in the last 24 hours. So big shout out to you and everyone else who has supported me. There is a link in the live stream chat. So a warm welcome to Discord and Google. We've got 10th Man, Arwin, Neil, Paul and Sleeping Warrior, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Hello, hello.
Hey. Good morning, welcome. Earth Debate.
Good morning, good to have you all. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not from Moonlight State Beach.
Nope.
Dr. Phil had produced a satellite photo of Earth curvature.
Who did?
Yesterday on Discord. Dr. Phil on Discord. He did it yesterday.
Dr. Phil. Who's that? He must be new.
I don't know if he's new or not, but he's on Discord quite a bit. He's on Jim Payne's server. He was actually on the 24/7 yesterday.
So how did he get a picture from a violation of a natural law?
Oh, we don't know if that's the satellite he's talking about, Paul. So where was this satellite claimed to be when it took the picture?
Well, he said it was in space. Somebody asked him about vacuum, and then
that's a bit of a problem. Oh dear. You see, space is fake, Paul. Can't have gas pressure without a container, and obviously we live in a high pressure gas environment, and without a container there'd be no pressure. That's a Conspiracy Cats quote. Without the container there can be no pressure. End quote. So if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. Ergo, the sky is not a vacuum. Outer space is fake. So no, he definitely hasn't got pictures from a satellite claimed to be orbiting in a fake medium. Orbit is a begging the question fallacy, and space is fake.
Maybe he made a mistake. He meant a balloon, like a high altitude helium balloon.
Maybe. What was the picture of? Was it of Earth as a complete sphere, or what? What was the picture of, Paul?
It was. You can't actually get a picture of a complete sphere, so to speak, but you can get a disc-looking side. It looks like a disc. So he did get supposedly one picture, one side of the so-called sphere.
One side of the circle, and by that you mean the horizon was being claimed to be the edge of the sphere.
Right. And it was asked on the Discord, how did he measure that to know the actual circumference? All that kind of stuff came out of it.
Measure what?
I won't regress into that. But, yeah.
Measure the apparent horizon in the picture and claim that it's a physical geometric sphere edge horizon that can block things with its physicality when it's a not actual apparent location that has no physicality. Why would they do such a thing? Well, maybe you don't know. You can't speak for them. Why would you do such a thing, Globehead Fundies? The horizon is not a physical location. It doesn't have any physical attributes to block boats and buildings. It's a not actual location. And you can't derive an R value from it. It would require physicality, so you could claim it as a tangent point to draw a straight line to it to measure its tangent nature if Earth was spherical. However, the horizon is definitely not physical. It's not a tangent point. You can't draw a straight line to it, according to you. So it has nothing to do with geometry. Therefore, you can't derive R and bend the horizon with R that was derived by a physical tangent point that you haven't got. The horizon is not physical, it's not the edge of a sphere, it's not blocking boats and buildings, it's definitely not bending with altitude, it's a not actual place. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
No, I was going to say I couldn't respond because I had a screaming kiddo in the background.
That'll be a no.
Any evidence of the distance to
Can
the
you
sun?
hear me?
Hey, Arwen, yes, we can hear you. You're a bit quiet, though.
Really?
Yeah,
How
a
is
little
that
bit.
possible?
Sounds like you're buried in a coffin underground and we can just hear through the ground, are
Let
we?
me out! Let me out!
I'm literally 5 centimeters from my mic.
You're okay
It
now.
sounds like you're underground.
No, turn the gain up a little bit, maybe, and back off it.
Hey,
Yeah, on the back of your Yeti, there's a gain control. Anyway, let's not have this technical discussion in the middle of a live show. Distance to the sun? Anybody at all?
No, no distance to the sun.
how's this?
Shit. Hey, Nathan, there is evidence, apparently, that the sun does have a physical outer shell. It has got physicality to it, according to Samuel Robitaille. Did you catch the video that he did in response to, what's his name? Is it Professor Dave? Professor Dave basically picked on one of the most reputable PhDs out there. Now, reputable in the context of his field, which is like he's studied the sun in detail. And whether you agree with Robitaille or not, his position on it as a PhD in his field is that the sun does have a physicality to it. Now, I don't know how he proves it, and I don't know the arguments for it, but he claims in debunking Dave on some of his disrespectful, condescending, patronizing opinions against Dr. Robitaille, he argues and makes the point that it is well-established science that the sun does have a physical outer shell, at least.
Excellent.
Now,
Did he say that?
I need to do a bit more reading.
Hold on, did he say that? It's established science?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah,
excellent,
that's what
because we know what science is here, don't we? So presumably he's got an observed natural phenomena, an independent claim to be cause of an effect, a validated hypothesis, with a null formulated prior to experimentation. Presumably he's got all those things, right?
I don't know. I was just letting people know that Mr. Robitaille, Dr. Robitaille, claims that the sun does have a physicality and it is physical. So I don't know where the evidence is. I'm just passing on the message. So if anybody wants to do any research to find out whether or not the sun actually is physical with the evidence that supports it, let's see it, because I want to know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Me three. Hey, Adam.
Ouch.
Arwen, you're like a 1 out of 10, mate.
Fuck, I don't know what's wrong with this thing.
Afternoon, guys.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Oh, Arwen, I know what it is. Are you on a Yeti, right?
Yes.
Go into the bottom right-hand corner where your speaker is. Not your microphone, but your speaker. Right-click on your speaker, and then click Sounds. And then in the menu that comes up, click on Recording. And then click on...
Oh, my God. Hello? Middle of a live show?
Then click on your properties for your Yeti. Check your actual recording, your levels on your Yeti.
Hey, I heard you.
Continue on.
This is too much, man.
Okay.
I've just realised mine was low as well.
Then you're not low. You're definitely not low. Anthony. It's all good.
Yes.
Okay, right, let's move on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, it's presupposed.
Well, P waves and S waves aren't possible unless it's a sphere, Nathan. They don't work.
You back off your mic a bit, Anthony. Thank you.
I've just... Let me turn it
Good
down.
morning, guys.
Good morning, Chocolate.
Hi, Duck.
Hey up, Chocolate.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Molten iron core.
Hey, Chocolate, I'm liking that music video.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Very,
Video
very
itself
good.
is credited to Spurs.
This is incredible. Anthony's really loud, Arwen's really low, and we're talking technical.
Yeah, I can't do
I
anything
just-
about it either. I can't
just
turn
think-
Arwen up. I can't turn Anthony down. I can only ask that they don't discuss great technical details during the middle of a live show, but I can't control that.
I've just turned
Okay,
me down.
if I
Am I loud
answer, I'll
enough?
just
Perfect.
yell. Is that okay?
You're both perfect. Thank the Lord. You're You're both
Okay,
perfect now.
I'll just yell. But then, look, if you guys are gonna talk when I talk, then I'm gonna get really fucking pissed off. All right?
Well, at least then we'll hear
I
you.
mean, it's not funny. It's not funny.
Arwen,
It's not
we
funny
need
when
somebody
I'm
bury
not
you
audible. It's
underground?
not funny when I'm not audible. Okay?
Arwen, do us a favor. Do us a mic test for me. Just say, "Let me out."
No, it's not fucking funny, Tony.
No swearing. Oh God, guys, hello. We're still in the middle of housekeeping. 10 minutes into the show. Hello. Molten Iron Core. Anybody at all?
Nah.
No, no such thing. It's comedy Tuesday, though.
Do you realise, right? So
Only
housekeeping questions.
imagination.
Only imagination, indeed. The housekeeping questions were Anthony Riley's idea, yet he makes a complete mockery of them every time he comes here.
See, if I don't make a mockery of it, we've got to get to the point where we start laughing at these morons. Because it's like, I don't know how they can't see this. This is like...
We haven't reached that point yet? Hold up.
Yeah, we don't get there enough. I think Nathan's trying to criticize with a compliment as well at the same time. Because the point is that it is ridiculous to think that the Earth's turning because we see the sky turn. It is ridiculous to think that there's a molten iron core when the most that we've got is an 8-foot hole. It's ridiculous.
They don't even know what Coriolis.
8 mile.
8-foot hole.
They don't even know what Coriolis is, and yet they debate it.
How's my volume now?
You're perfect, Darwin. You're good.
All right, I set the microphone to 100. It was set on 70 for some reason.
Well, you're good now. It's all good.
God.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
Gravity.
We can't even define gravity, Nathan, so how can we have any evidence of it? Come on.
But any scientific evidence of the bending?
I was
of
gonna say,
space?
which gravity?
What does that do? What does it do? What does gravity do?
Nothing. It's not a force. It bends.
Gravity is made up because they have a made up sphere that needs something made up to keep everything on it.
Yeah. It
right.
bends.
So gravity causes things to stay on the ball. That's it? How does it do that?
No, gravity bends time in the conceptual medium of the heliocentric model. It's a reification fallacy to assert it exists in reality.
No, gravity doesn't bend time, Nathan. That's the uneven distribution of mass that bends time. Gravity is the effect of the bending of time, not it doesn't bend time. It can't do anything.
My bad. In the conceptualization that is heliocentric gravity of an Einsteinian nature, the uneven distribution of mass causes the bending of space-time, and that is labelled as the effect of gravity. How's that?
Yes, because gravity can't do anything. That's the thing that ball earthers tell us, and it can't. So just remember to recite the definition back to them and then get them to try and explain how Newton's apple falls off the tree. And it's just poetry listening to them do their abstractions and to explain the things that we see. It's brilliant.
Stage 1123 says gravity is magic. Well, no, because at least something happens. There's an apparent effect when you're watching a magic trick, but there isn't anything with gravity. There is no magic happening.
Okay, so let me get this straight for a second. So if gravity is the effect of all these things, then gravity would be the description of the process of something causing air and all that to stick to the ball. But what is that?
No.
Hear me out. If it's the effect, supposedly, then what is actually the cause? What does cause things to stick to that ball, supposedly? Because gravity doesn't cause that. People say it, but it's the effect. So what is then the cause?
There isn't one. That's the point, right? This ad hoc explanation using gravity that says that it holds gas particles to the outside of a ball is nonsense. That's not what gravity is in an Einsteinian description. That is not what it does. It's not what it is. It's the uneven distribution of mass bending space-time. That's what it is. Now, what is time? Well, that's a concept. Can you bend, travel in, or move through a concept? No. Can you bend a concept? No.
How can you bend
Conceptually?
volume?
Conceptually, in the model, yes.
How do you bend a volume as well? Because space is technically a volume. How do you do that?
You don't. All of this is taking place inside an abstract reification of a model.
Ooh. Talking of which, it has nothing to do with it. Did you guys notice I had a minus 100 votes on my show live today?
Minus 100 downvotes.
Yes.
There's a good chance that that'll have come from one person who's got multiple sock accounts attributable to their one account that they have. When YouTube sees that, they just remove them. About 24 hours later, you might find that drops to a mere 50. Yes.
I just wanted you to know that I seem to be a lot more unpopular than you. You only have minus 4.
No, you don't understand. That's not unpopularity. For example, people like Simon Dan, who come here, are seeking our attention. Now, they love to hate us, but they still desire and seek out our attention. So don't see the thumbs down as a negative thing. It's somebody showing their love of their hate for you. But they're interacting. Well, all YouTube is concerned about is the fact that they are so passionate about your show that they want to interact with it. So it develops a reaction, positive or negative, equally good either way for YouTube.
I know, that's why I laughed about it
Yeah,
when I said,
there is-
I'm more unpopular than you.
No, people love to hate you more than they love to hate me. I don't think that's true either.
Well, the numbers show it.
It's probably
You're
one
not
person,
unpopular
though.
enough,
sorry, guys.
Nathan.
Hello. Hopefully this will move us on. Whoever that was, go ahead. Please save us from the thumbs down.
Yeah, that was me. I see Flatjoid is not online. I'm also from South Africa, so to say, haze up to Flatjoid. But my thing about gravity, guys, is that within the conceptual bending of space-time, right, they always show it as a fabric, right? And the fabric being like up and down. You know what I mean? But if you really think about that ball and the way they explain it is that it kind of bends space-time in all directions. How do they explain that?
Well, they don't. They're reifying space-time into this fabric described when they stretch out a piece of material and then roll some bowling balls and tennis balls around it and say that it's analogous to the bending of a concept, i.e. time bending. So, no, it's just a mere reification fallacy when they show physicality in a piece of material and say that uneven distribution of mass and its bending of time is equivalent to a piece of material. It's the fallacy of misplaced concretedness. There is no concrete nature to the abstract nature of time bending, but yet they describe it as a piece of material that can stretch out with bowling balls rolling around it. It's absurd.
Here's a question. Is space physical?
Space in their vernacular, outer space, is fake. There is no outer space. Nature abhors a vacuum. The sky is not a vacuum, so no.
No. What I mean is within the space-time paradigm, is space physical?
No.
I know things are physical, like the counter's physical, my faucet's physical, I'm physical, but space is not physical.
No.
Don't you remember when Rumpus was on here and he was talking about how you have a hole in my yard and that's the equivalent? So I say, well, the hole is physical, and it takes longer to travel down through the hole than it would be to cross over the hole, But,
Alvin, check Skype.
I think when you get enough debate shows under your belt, you realize that the ballers live in an abstract world of math that has absolutely no relationship with our reality.
Indeed. Every single claim to be globe-proof ever will start with the assumption that you're standing on a spherical surface. So begging the question fallacy in every single respect. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics.
No, they haven't actually gone beyond observation of something.
Yeah, they've got plenty of phenomena. Plenty
Yes.
of dependent variables to be going along with.
Right, but I don't know, man. They have books for signing, and people really want them. So I think that I don't know. That might be science. They think so.
That non sequitur's going to have to need a bit more explanation. They've got books to sign, therefore science. That makes no sense. You'll have to pad that out a bit, Arwen. Sorry.
Science is not the art of signing book. Science.
No.
No.
The author Winnie the Pooh signed books too.
Right.
he's
so
not
that
real.
makes him a scientist, right?
No, but Winnie the Pooh's not real.
Shakespeare
Oh.
never signed any books. Shakespeare wrote Winnie the Pooh, right?
Shakespeare's a fictional character.
Well, wait a minute. Tigger has a bendy tail, so they're getting close.
Yeah, you didn't
Okay,
say it
well-
right. Try it again in iambic pentameter.
Okay, well, if signing books is not the art of science, then I don't think that they have any. But they have a lot of books that they write about their conceptions, and people really love it and call them scientists.
Yeah, again, no. Observation of phenomena. Assertion of independent and dependent variable in a hypothesis with a null. Experimentation. Actualization of said hypothesis to establish if your presumed cause is the cause of the effect. That's science. Hey, Righteous Force.
All right.
Afternoon or morning or wherever it is you
Getting
are.
used to the new system.
Yeah, new for you. This is first time on. What's it called? Meet. We call it Google. Don't call it Meet.
It's Google.
Any evidence of the R value? That'd be Earth radius.
I'd say black swan to that.
Well, at best, we've disproven it, so it's up to the ballers to basically re-establish what the R value even supposed to be if we've disproven the original R value.
They can't
Well,
because they've got
Then-
Arwin's paradox ahead of them.
can try.
They
you
could
know?
try. They've
They
tried.
established that- Right, they established that they have already that we've slightly disproven the radius. So yeah, how are you going to re-establish this radius, ballers? What is the R value? And then we can, if as soon as you actually have a new R value that you're going to forward as this is it, then we can talk about how you came to that. And yeah, we'll see from there on.
Well, the problem is they have given us an R value. It just doesn't work out in reality. It's 3,959 miles, and the geometric horizon is not where it's supposed to be. In fact, you wouldn't expect to see it. So they're in trouble.
So let's re-establish this R value, ballers. It's
Yeah.
very tough to believe in a heliocentric model if you don't have a coherent R value for the ball Earth. Come on.
Well, then what would you do with the past few hundred years of the R value and everything predicated on 3959? They'd have to throw out the whole thing.
No, you just update it like they always have.
No, then the sun would be further or closer, and the moon would be further and closer. Everything would
Yeah.
be messed up.
Yeah. What is it? That has changed countless times. Remember, like 300 years ago, the sun was like a quarter of the distance it's now. So that constantly moves around. That's fine. They've been doing that for a long time. But they have to get the R value actual at some point. So
What was
is
the
it?
what was the R value when the sun was closer?
No, it's the same R value. It's the application of Kepler's third law. So you've got a sliding
Right.
scale with those maths. And you just need a scalar. So in the current rhetoric, Venus is the same size as Earth, Earth's twin. It's just assuming that that particular light in the sky has the same radius, which is what pushes it out to 93 million.
Yeah, but they've got rovers on Mars, and they've been close to the sun, and
No, they
they've
haven't.
been far
No, they don't.
away, and they don't know these things now that Venus isn't the same size.
No, they haven't, and no, they don't. They don't travel through a sky vacuum to get to Mars. Mars is a light in the sky, claiming that it's a physical, tangible object you can travel to by way of rockets in a sky vacuum, when the location they claim this light is in is a violation of natural law, therefore doesn't exist. So their description of that light in the sky is not true. There is no rovers on
Agreed.
that orange light.
Agreed, but I said that because they say they've done it, and if they've done all that, they've verified the size of Venus. So now they're going to have to say what?
That's not what they used to verify the size of Venus. They used bounce off it. So they looked through a load of distorted noise at the timings they would expect based on the presupposed radius and Kepler's third law, giving them Venus to be the same size. They can have a predicted return time for a ping. So Jodrell Bank fires a ping, they get nothing back, or seemingly nothing, but some guy called Bob from, not from NASA. JPL, yeah, correct. Came along and said, no, here's the return signal, that's where it is, look. Right at the timing we expected, based on our presuppositions of an R value and Venus being the same size and the distance being what we've already calculated, that's when we expect to see the return signal, that's where the return signal is, therefore we've got the distance to Venus. Bob's your uncle.
Good old Bob.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No evidence of it. Danny Faulkner seems to have found something on YouTube, though.
Well, I think that the ballers are still trying to get this whole bouncy ball idea through. Yeah, it's very tough to do, though, because, it basically violates fundamental physics, like step one physics. They somehow have to reconcile, but separate molecules are like physical like gases as separate molecules are like physical balls, yet they are still unbonded. So how is this working exactly? And that led to that magnificent little piece you had with Rumpus the other day. And
Is Adam in here by any chance?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Chocolate.
Adam, first of all, I want to say Adam is dope, and I'm sure he's got a nice head and torso on his mantle from last night.
Oh, this sounds good. Clear the airwaves. Go ahead, tell us all about it.
We were chatting with Professor Phil last night, weren't we? And gas pressure without a container came. We got to the point, Nathan, where his analogy was that the majority of the gas molecules are going up like a bullet, where they then reach a point of zero kinetic energy. He's so dumb, isn't he? Every line he was just. So we got to that. So what's dispelling the kinetic energy? Colliding with other gas molecules was one of the reasons, Nathan, that they run out of energy because they hit each other. So we were pointing out that this is an elastic collision. It was one cluster screw after another.
Just before you go on, sorry, for the benefit of my audience, just explain the difference between inelastic and elastic collisions, so you can clarify why that was a laughable point as you just sniggered about it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so an elastic collision is a collision where there is no exchange of the kinetic energies in the molecules.
So just to clarify,
no loss of energy at all. So a bit like the good example of a inelastic collision would be to say pour bouncy balls out of something, and you'll see that they won't get as high as the point of pouring. Because they'll lose kinetic energy there, and then they'll eventually dissipate to the floor. So that's the kind of the difference. Whereas a gas molecule will just keep going at with no loss of kinetic energy.
So in other words, when he says, well, they just reach zero in terms of kinetic energy, correct me if I'm wrong, that would mean that they'd have to reach absolute zero to stop, would they not?
Well, there was that fact that there's the temperature there, so he mentioned as well. So
all of the ones except the ones that apparently hit the thermosphere and start heating up and then actually leave the open system that we're in. So it's very selective.
Hold on, I've got an issue there, Chocolate. Did you say hits the thermosphere? How can it hit something that isn't a physical barrier?
As Professor Phil.
We got to the thermosphere because his main point was that everything's colder up there, so they slow down because they're so cold. I didn't need to point out the boiling points of these gases are a lot lower than the temperatures supposedly as you go up. But then we got to the point where there was the thermosphere, where obviously the temperatures theoretically increase. So suddenly we've now got these gas molecules that are re-energized again, but apparently they don't. So, like I say, it was just a cluster of contradictions, all basically, again, Nathan, trying to get to the point that it's gravity that's containment.
They've got to get to the magical reification of their bending conceptual medium that means nothing and isn't a force, to assert that they've got a force that holds gas here at trench level. But this isn't a goon at trench level, though, right?
No, he's a professor.
It's actually sad. We've gotten better arguments from goons at trench level. I even told them that yesterday because it's just sad what he brought, which was nothing. I mean, that's really nothing.
They just run out of energy because elastic collisions aren't real, is what I heard him saying. So from what I've gleaned, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, the claim is, well, they just run out of energy. Why? Well, because they're hitting other particles. Yeah, but the collisions, as you've pointed out to him, are elastic. So no, they're not losing any energy. And they're re-energized when they get into another part of their thermodynamics violation that they've got in the sky vacuum, with it being re-energized when it gets to the thermosphere. But it just it just works. Look at the sky. Look, that's a vacuum.
But only a few of them, Nathan. Most of them follow this, and this is where he again had to go through his gravity. Most of them have a 9.8 applied to them constantly, so as they're constantly slowing down. So again, even in his own theory, he couldn't then explain how the others managed to not have this force applied to them to lose their kinetic energy.
But then remember, Adam, remember how he just started to describe how at ground level that without containment, the gas would disperse.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
he actually contradicted his own paradigm. He says not some of them have the 9.8 meters per second, but technically under his own paradigm, all of them should have 9.8 meters per second applied to them. Not just some of them, all of them.
Yes, they need all gas to behave like bouncy balls and go down, go boom, boom, like solid bonded bouncy balls do when poured into a fish tank, because they're inelastic. They'll lose energy as they bounce. Well, that means they'd come back down to the earth. Well, do we have gas doing that? No. Gas is created at ground level and makes its way up because it expands in all directions, not down at 9.8 meters per second. All vectors with elastic collisions equally to expand the volume in all directions. Not down, not 9.8 meters per second, not mostly down, all vectors.
Adam, how did he answer elastic collisions? Did you try to keep his feet to the fire? Did he know what it meant?
Well, no, he didn't. That was the point where I think, butted in, because we had to keep on it, because he just starts every sentence with a falsehood. And that was again one of them where he's trying to paint this fantasy of a sky vacuum and explain why. And I say he began that explanation by claiming that part of the reason they're running out of energy, because he's trying to avoid going into saying the word gravity, that gravity is taking kinetic energy off these gas molecules, even though it doesn't at ground level, as Chocolate said. But yeah, so no, that was his first point of saying,
He didn't even want to have the discussion about gravity. Remember when John asked him, well, okay, what type of gravity are you talking about? And he just said, well, just gravity.
Yeah.
just gravity. That's not important. Like, okay, it's your claim, isn't it?
Right. So QE was there. So this will go out on Quantum Racer's channel then. Excellent.
Oh yeah. Me, Adam, QE was there. There's a couple people there, man. He was getting passed around.
Miggy kept it on track as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Miggy's good with that. Yep. Yeah, that'll get reloaded or re-uploaded or something.
It's a good few hours and all, weren't it? It was early hours when we.
It was like 3 hours or so. It was fun. And this is after the coming in and getting smashed in the first 5 minutes with his because his first proof was ships going over the curve was first proof of globe, and then when shown an RC boat disappearing bottom up on a lake, that's way too small to have that effect be curve of the earth. And he said, well, that would have happened. And then he was shown it in 2 seconds and he had no response to it. I mean, it was just, and then he shows us a picture of a building with no pedigree information and asks us what's happening, which was the same effect that just happened in the boat that we had just shown him. So, I mean, it was, it was fun.
I see. So he's using geometric, begging the question, proof of nothing perspective, hijacking Earth curve maths with its whole numbers for targets to assert that the horizon is a physical geometric sphere edge obscuring the boat or building in this example. And as you say, he presents an image with no heritage and then asks you to explain what's happening in his image he's using to not claim anything, but in fact reverse the burden of proof. Wow.
Exactly. Exactly.
I like to respond to people like that with the following question. How do you explain premature sycamore pollination in the north of England on a sphere? For those of you who don't understand what I'm saying, if I'm not claiming something, then why should I have to justify something that's presented to me? For example, somebody shows me a building cut off at the horizon, and they say, why is this happening? Now, do I launch into, well, there's an angular limitation limit. It could be the weather. Maybe there's a swell obscuring your view in the near foreground or midground. I don't need to do that because I'm not claiming anything with it. Now, when a boat was presented on a lake, miniature scale, pre-Earth curve obstruction at the horizon, disappearing bottom up, again, it's a demonstration that flies in the face of their physical assumption bias with a horizon that's an Earth curve edge for boats to fall over. But that's all you need. You just literally have to show it, right? You didn't have to say anything, correct, Chocolate?
Yeah. I mean, the best part was he says the ships go over the curve, right? So then Indio, shout out to Indio 007, he says, well, what if I show you a boat that completely disappears bottom up and nothing to do with the distance required for it to match your curvature maths, right? First thing he says is, well, that won't happen. Okay. Indio posts the video. It happens. He completely hand waves it and says, oh, well, you know, there's other things going on. I don't have enough information to respond to that. And then immediately after that, post a picture of the building with no information, no observation height, no distance, anything, and just asks us, well, what's going on here?
Right. In other words, hand wave it when it's your claim with actual distances and size and scale. He presents something with basically the same exact question posed at the end of it, but it's expected to be answered without any heritage information on his side. But when you present it, it's hand waved.
Exactly.
Sounds like he was actually saying that there's a physical Earth curve that's blocking boats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after that, we jump to his second law of thermodynamics violation picture of a Himawari 8 satellite, what he claims is a photo from space.
That was his proof of Earth curve, wasn't it? To
Yep,
get to the proof of Earth curve, he brought out the Himawari 8.
What happened to Al-Biruni?
Al-Biruni, he didn't even know anything about it. He was asked later on how they derived the R value in the first place. He went to Eratosthenes. He was asked, is there any prime information for that? Obviously, there's not. So, I mean, he's just a hot mess.
They pointed out that he puts satellites into space, apparently. So how did he get the R value? If the R value, the reason he cites it is from the Himawari 8, you measure it, apparently, from that picture. That's how you get the R value. And that's, but then it was pointed out to him, the contradiction that, well, if you had to put the satellite up there to get the measurement, how did you get your R value to put your satellite up there in the first place? And he stuttered and...
Well, what I find interesting is that Al-Biruni went to a mountain and got the same measurement.
No. what Al-Biruni did was reify the horizon into a tangent point and take a dip angle measurement, whereas the Himawari 8 is claimed to be in Narnia. Sky vacuum isn't a real place. So no, he's not sending satellites up. He is deceived. Now, I'm not going to call him a liar. It's not like the astronauts where they are overtly lying. He's just deceived. It may very well be the case that he built something. I don't doubt it. But it doesn't mean he's put something up into a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum to give us the, what would you call them? Bloody paintings, you might as well call them in the case of the Himawari, right? It's absolutely as fake as it gets. Why? Well, because it's claimed to have come from somewhere that doesn't exist.
Well, that was my point. I was saying, since there is no physical geometric horizon, what's the difference with Al-Biruni saying he saw something he could never see, or this guy making up a violation of natural law and saying he got it from there?
Right. But it's tragic. You know, this is going to be painful. When people like Adam point out that, no, the sky is definitely not a vacuum, how would you explain the gas being here? And he has no answer. That's because it's a violation of natural law. Now, if he's in the slightest bit competent, he'll be aware of that. And that will be cognitively painful when he's trying to explain it away with gravity and justify work he's done that he's been told has gone to a place that doesn't exist. So he's been deceived. And I feel a bit sorry for him. Because he's a professional guy, right? He's got letters after his name. He's done the work. Seems unreasonable that that person should be in a position where whoever is in their authority, whoever is their guru, has essentially led them down a path of destruction. Because that's where he's ended up, being destroyed by flat earthers. How embarrassing. Now, if you paid money to get into that position, that's even worse, right? He shouldn't be in that position. And for that, I do empathise. I don't know about
Who
you,
are you
Adam.
talking about?
The guy that's claiming sky vacuums and that has sent up satellites like the Himawari. Well, I don't know if Adam, you agree. I can empathise with that. He's handed over his cash. He's done his time. He's learned what he thought was correct. And just like Dr. John Dee, he's now going back after the fact, of his own back, I might add, to see where what he was taught as fact and true isn't. And this guy hasn't done that yet. He's instead, under the misapprehension that everything he knows is correct, is being taken to pieces by flat earthers. That's embarrassing.
Is he responding like John Dee responded?
Well, only Adam can tell us that, or Chocolate.
Absolutely not.
Well, then he's not going to learn.
Yeah, no, he's
See,
not
smart
interested in
people
learning.
listen and they learn and they move forward. Stupid people are stuck in their religion.
Well, we're hoping for the best, that he'll see the light, and if he's elastic, he'll bounce back.
But Adam, are you there? Do you have any empathy for this man in regards to his misapprehensions that he's been led down the wrong path on? Adam might have slipped away. If he doesn't respond in the next couple of seconds, I'll just ask someone else.
Hey, how's my volume now?
Perfect, Arwin. Much better. Maybe a little too loud.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too loud.
Tony helped me out a little in the background, and it was very weird because literally my volume control was sliding without me doing anything.
Okay,
so it was like somebody was literally from the outside hacking my volume control. Very weird.
Please, can you turn the gain control on the back of the mic back down to where it was, though, because you're distorting.
Right, but I'm back.
But turn the gain down on the mic, because you're distorting. You're clipping the mic.
What?
Clipping your mic. Your gain's too high now, because I told you to turn it up. Let's not drag this out. Just turn the little knob back to how it was, and you'll be perfect. Not distorting.
So this?
Perfect. That's much better. Not clipping, not distorting.
Okay.
And support my GoFundMe campaign. The reason I can tell that he's clipping instantly is because I've acoustically treated the room. I can instantly hear it now. So it's not when I go back to the show afterwards, I'm going, oh God, Arwen's clipping his mic. But I couldn't, now I can tell. That's why I'm doing this. So instantly the problem's resolved. Anyway, support my GoFundMe.
Can I say something about Dr. Phil? He will never question his paradigm because he's a professor. He has spent his life teaching people something specific. Dr. John D is more in the profession, right? He understands it. He knows it. He's not necessarily a teacher. So John has a little bit more option to be able to change, or like even Adam, he's a pharmacist. So there's a sense that in that realm, you may have not very much to lose, but Dr. Phil has a lot to lose. If he decides to be a flat earther and questions things, do you think he's going to be teaching anymore? You think?
Exactly. That's what I empathise with. Given that he's injected, I don't know how old he is, but a fair old chunk of his life into this stuff. And up until now, he was presumably admired and respected and revered for his information and knowledge. Well, now he's got people who are deemed to be stupid, and I'm talking about us, flat earthers, putting him straight and showing where he's wrong. Now, as much as it's a lot of people may not like me saying, well, it's embarrassing because flat earthers are considered stupid, I'm talking on a general normie level. That is actually the case, like it or lump it. But to have the people who are considered by them to be stupid correcting you, that's embarrassing. And leaves him in a position where if he accepts his inconsistencies and incorrect assertions, he's got to accept that his career's essentially over. Well, that's not good. I don't see that that's fair on him. I don't even know the guy, and I can empathise with that. Paul?
Well, you all know my story with my high school teacher, and I kept raising my hand, and he finally said, look, I don't even believe it. I just got to teach it. Well, at that point, he was free and I was free because I realized he wasn't really teaching because he believed it, because I kept arguing with him. But this guy, he believes it.
Exactly. Unlike John Dee, who's come to the conclusion that many of the things he's been taught may not be correct, and then to go back and revise his knowledge, this guy actually is at the position prior to that where he's like, no, everything I know is correct. Well, you showing me to be wrong is going to be hand-waved because I'll give you the exact same example and ask you the question with no heritage information.
Well,
It was funny.
Oh, go on, Paul.
I was saying it's funny on that Discord. I was on there with them a little bit. That's the him and Warriors, what I was bringing up earlier before in the after show. There was an engineer on there that was a flat earther, and he brought up, he was calling Dr. Phil out, and when Dr. Phil realized he's an engineer, he says, "You're a flat earther and you believe in this? You know, you're an engineer and you believe in flat Earth?" He goes, "Yeah, because I went back and looked at it." You know, and so it's funny that here's an engineer believing in flat Earth and a professor that won't even question. That's pretty funny.
Well, I could dovetail on that point because when I have thought I knew how to do certain things in the different trades I was in, someone with more skill said, "Hey, you want to learn how to do that better?" I go, "Absolutely." And he showed me a better way. And I gave up the old for the new because he was in the trade much longer than I was. Whereas these guys, they can't take it if they're wrong. I don't mind if I'm wrong, if you're going to help me with the right.
Well, and isn't it funny though? A lot of people that are in school, I've actually had, when I was in college too, I actually had a professor say, "Well, yeah, we teach this in class, but in the real world, it doesn't work that way." How many times have you heard that? Anybody that's been in school? I heard that a lot when I was in college.
That statement says a lot.
I was hoping to get Adam's take on it. I don't know if you heard the beginning part of this, Adam. Are you there now?
Yeah, I had to nip away there again.
Do you empathise with the guy that you debated against?
I think yes and no. Initially, yes, but you get to like last night, and it's not that anymore because he's standing up there and lying, misrepresenting, and trying to use his qualifications to fool people, just as he tried. Luckily, you know, there was a lot of people there last night that he couldn't get one falsehood past people, which showed him up for the deceiver that he's become. And that's, to me, why I have no sympathy. Whatever he was in the past, it was, and we all had that shock and wake up. What you then decide to do moving forward, even staying quiet is better than going out on what he's doing, which is going out intentionally to deceive people and give them pseudoscience to keep them on their ball. Yeah, and that's just...
If I could add, there were so many times that Adam, I mean, we all know Adam is just a very cordial, nice fella. And he went at him, you know, they went at each other, and it's like Adam would present his argument, and this guy would, he would either insult him or he would just completely shut down and say, "Well, I'm, that's ridiculous," or "rubbish" was the word he was using. It's like, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Wow, well, this should be a lot more decent than it is, because this is a guy, this is a chemist talking to somebody who professes to be a professor. This should be a lot more on a higher level." And the just Phil just kept bringing it down to a level that it was almost just kind of sad, to be honest. I don't know if you felt that way, Adam, but I mean,
he couldn't address any of the points because we were using science.
Right.
He was trying to paint his fantasy paradigm. But that's why every time we went to a bit of science, you're right, he would either go to ad hom, or what he tried was flexing his academic muscles as well, didn't he? So I had to give him a bit back at that and point out that
was the best part.
This is chemistry, so I'm more qualified than you, pal.
Chocolate, this guy sounds a lot like PhD Tony on Fight the Flat Earth, hiding behind his credentials.
Listen, do you understand this is the same guy that was laughing at us when we said water vapor is a gas? And he was in the background laughing. This is the same guy who apparently is a professor in hydrology, or I mean,
Can someone verify if he has a Mercedes?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't know. That's what he says. But
well, that was part of the whole thing. I have a Mercedes. Oh, okay.
Oh shit! Wow.
That's that.
Excuse me.
Well, Neil had a Mercedes too, and he's a flat earther. Ha
I wouldn't normally mention this, right? But I thought there was someone tarring the roof next to me, and I've looked out the window, and there's a guy about 35 foot in the air on top of a roof with a tube and attached to a vacuum the size of a car that's about, I don't know, half a foot in diameter, vacuuming out chimneys. I'm not even joking. He's got a giant brush head. It's just like a massive giant tube going up from this industrial vacuum, and he's poking it down like a chimney sweep and vacuuming out chimneys. I've never seen anything like it. Sorry.
You see Mary Poppins? Mary Poppins there.
Thoughts of Mary Poppins are going through my head, other than the industrial-sized vacuum that he's currently pumping up and down this chimney that I'm watching. Sorry to mention that. I just thought it was a noteworthy experience. Strange thing that I'm watching. I completely killed the mood. It was distracting me, so I thought I might as well drop it in.
Don't worry about it, Nathan. It's just a fluke thing.
A fluke. Fluke.
Oh,
love it.
Well, very good, Tom.
That's top work. Thank you for that, Adam. I'm sorry to have completely segued away from it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You empathise until the point that it's overt that they're actually lying. Or weaving mistruths that are being pointed out to them in the moment, and they're not accepting that they're mistruths. They're just reiterating them in a different way. Am I right?
Yeah. And worse than that, he's purposefully misrepresenting to mug people off and trick them. And that's why there's no sympathy. Yeah. Got every sympathy for somebody for 30 years worked in the rocket industry and thought it was real. Yeah. But to then come out and then do what he's doing, I've got no sympathy for the man there.
Remember at the end, Adam, when he was asked to get the. I mean, we did a lot of circling back because he's a ducker and dodger, so we circled back to the R value. And remember at the end, he gave us the Pythagorean theorem.
Oh, God.
With the R in it already.
Yeah. Yeah. How to get R. Yeah. And then he just rearranged the formula. So the formula said R squared equals, didn't he? He's just trying to trick people. And he's trying to use it because it was an R squared equals X squared plus Y. And then he just rejiggled the formula as if it was that made any difference when he's trying to figure out an R, and he's just given us just straight Pythagorean theorem. And we're pointing out that
they like to hide the R.
Yeah, instead of A, B, and C, he used X, Y, and Z, or X, Y, and R. He's like, no, this is not the Pythagorean theorem. R squared equals Y squared plus Z squared. What do you mean?
Which are
What
we
do you mean
talking?
change the variables?
Which are we referencing?
Well,
Yeah.
this was the Ori was trying to prove. So the way he did it was to go back to it was to go back to the beginning, wasn't it? To say I could look at a picture and say how far something is away, and then define that and use X and Y coordinates of that to define R. What a
Just
pub.
put the height and the distance, and you can figure out the R from there.
That's Al-Biruni's method. So what he's saying is I would reify the physical horizon and make it a tangent point and derive R that way.
Yeah, that's what...
All right. Oh, I assume someone whispered Black Swan to him.
Swan, we did. But that's what he went back to after saying, no, you couldn't do that.
Were you there when he was trying to explain the Black Swan with looming?
Oh, no.
Yeah, he tried. He actually came up with a diagram. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I can share it. You about to close out the show?
I didn't know what you said. Did you say Black Swan was moving?
Looming.
Looming? Oh, looming in their vernacular requires R, though, doesn't it? They're going to move the horizon, say it's looming, but the application of refraction in their model is terrestrial in nature. That's 7/6 of the radius. So they'd still need to acquire the radius by having it be a physical tangent point to measure with a straight line. Say again?
This was also after. Incorrectly defining what
Truth
looming
be told,
is anyway,
hello. Truth
within
be told.
his paradigm. So
hold on, Chocolate.
It was a loss
Hold
of
on,
the
Chocolate.
gate.
Chocolate, hold on. Truth be told, can you pop yourself on mute? Hello, truth be told? Unless you've got something to add? Ugh, join a live show,
In other
chat
words,
on the
mic
phone,
discipline,
ignore the
mic
host.
discipline.
Love it, love it.
You tell him, Neil.
Go ahead, Neil, or Chocolate, sorry.
I think Chocolate's looking to put something on, but I wanted to say it's fine and dandy to go back to a piece of paper and give me your calculations, but how come it doesn't work in reality, i.e. Black Swan?
Because we don't have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. It's a not actual location. It's apparent, meaning not actual.
So it's just a calculation then?
A calculation based on a reification of a tangent point horizon, a physical location that you could draw a straight line to, with it being assumed to be the edge of a sphere.
I put his diagram and his pictures in Masterby.
Okay, let's just do this before we end the live show and ask everyone to stay tuned if they're watching on a premiering stream. So I've got it up on screen now, Chocolate. You want to talk us through what it is?
Oh, well, basically, I mean, this was his attempt at trying to describe what's going on in the Black Swan. And obviously, first off, John had to tell him, you know, that's a Black Swan, right? The picture you're presenting, like he's had it in his presentation since the beginning of this. But then went to looming. Now, I mean, if you want to look at that diagram on the bottom right, he said he made this himself. So I don't know if you want to look at that and make heads or tails of that, because he didn't go into too much detail. He just tried to say, well, it's looming, obviously, and we do see the geometric horizon, but not in the picture. It's just loomed up, and then he created this diagram to show us how that's happening.
Well, in that diagram, it's presenting the side of the side profile and orthographic representation. So what I mean by that is, in these images, we've got a horizon moving from right to left to left, left to right. Well, in this image, the horizon is represented by a single point because you've turned the view side on, so representative with the side of your own head being viewed from 90 degrees side on to where you're standing. That's not how we see things. And all that does is remove all aspects of perspective and claim that the effects of perspective are actually this side tangent, side on view to a physical sphere edge horizon that he's marking with a single point.
Right. Not only that, but obviously looming would it would have to do with objects at the horizon as opposed to the horizon itself, which he says it was looming. So
yeah,
that's
Correct. The definition of looming would be moving items with respect to the horizon, but their use of this colloquial term in this regard is actually their use of terrestrial refraction, which is 7/6 of the radius value, and you'd need to acquire a physical tangent point to measure that radius value to give you 7/6r to move the horizon with r that you can't measure. It's a paradox, as Arwen points out quite admirably. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the like button, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out my GoFundMe campaign. Stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!